In this video, we will continue to examine the creation of the haute cuisine in France that has been developed in the Palace of Versailles through the French Revolution in 1789 into the 19th century. What is the origin of the word restaurant? Who invented the gourmet kitchen? Who paid for it? We will try to find out right away. So subscribe Foodie Eyes to get the best food history videos to your main screen. On the previous episodes of this series, we have seen how the aristocracy of France, which was known as a consumer of luxury dining and lavish banquets, founded a culture of high-class cooking, and the groups of cooks who were now named chefs, led by the chef François de la Varenne. They began to write books for a professional audience and fast created a codification of French cuisine during the reign of Louis XV.
Premier service pour Monseigneur le Dauphin.
During the reign of Louis XVI, French chefs continued to refine the culinary methods and created menus for celebrations and royalty events. The art of cooking became an industry who needed a new channel of existence. Until the middle of the 18th century, there were no restaurants as we know them in Paris. Those who did not cook at home often had to dine in inns where their bad food was known. Noblesse and rich people, of course, enjoyed the services of private chefs. A change in public catering began in 1766 when two gentlemen, Rose and Pontail, opened a food house where they served a dish named restoran. The restoran was a soup made of beef or chicken which boiled for many hours in a pot of water. This soup was considered as the ultimate health food of the period, because the doctors believed he was capable of restoring the body's forces after illness. Because at that time, like today, quite a few people were looking for a healthy and alternative to lunch and dinner. The dining room became a success story and the institute was named as the food it served, and thus created the word restaurant. However, despite the success of Rose and Pontail, the break-in of restaurant as a profession and institute should be attributed to a much larger process. At the end of the 18th century, with the disintegration of the aristocratic class in Europe, which was accelerated by the French Revolution and the disappearance of the top luxury food consumers in one way or another, the ministers of banquets and the cooks remained without work. With the flourishing of the bourgeoisie, the cooks and the bakers began to wander from the huge kitchens in the palaces and the private estates of the aristocracy into the urban food houses. The new dining houses adapted the spirit of the banquets and the luxurious dining of the aristocracy to the restaurant's limited spaces, adding to it a new significant value, a tag of price. Price tag has completely changed the status of high-class food. The enjoyment of a gourmet dishes ceased to be the natural right from birth of the noble landowner and became the right of the money owner. The bourgeoisie established the connection between the taste of the food and its price. The restaurant, who's probably the oldest in the world, began its journey in 1582 as an inn on the left bank of the Seine in Paris and was called La Tour d'Argent. The restaurant suffered from the horrors of the French Revolution, but it survived, and later the royalty chef of Napoleon Bonaparte took his responsibility on the management task. This restaurant is a landmark in the chronicle of the haute cuisine. Later, in 1890, Frédéric Delier conceived the most famous dish of the restaurant, which is also served today. It is the canard au saut. Another elite restaurant that was established in the 18th century is Le Grand Vefour. One of the famous clients of that restaurant was also Napoleon, who used to sit there with his young mistress Josephine. Napoleon, who was not known as a great gourmet taste, liked to eat more on the battlefield than in the restaurant, and led France to some of its greatest victories, but also to a glorious defeat in 1814. This defeat led to the invention of a new type of restaurant. And that is the reason I remind you again to subscribe Foodie Eyes channel and get the best food history videos on your main screen. Thanks for watching, see you on the next.